All right, Shalom. First foremost, want to give all praises to Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai Ba'ashem Makakadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone that taught me this truth, and shalom to the hopeful elect around the four corners of the globe. Lord willing, this lesson is edifying, right? And briefly in this lesson, I want to touch on, a relatively important topic, contrary to popular belief. And when I say popular belief, I mean really people outside of the truth, all right? People outside of, the men of the Lord, the men of Great Millstone primarily, all right, and its affiliate camps on down, starting with the elders and apostles. Something that's missed when it comes to the teaching and the presentation of the scriptures and of the Bible, something that's often forgot about or not spoken about enough is suffering, right? Suffering. Suffering is basically a centerpiece, is one of the main, concepts of the ministry, all right, on this side, all right? The suffering that we're currently enduring, all right, and the suffering that we're going to have to endure, coming into Jacob's trouble, right? Coming into the worst time in human history, all right? The fury of Yahweh Shemel Shai, coming down upon, the world, all right? The nation of Israel specifically, all right? And we're going to be in the midst of that, right? We're going to be in the midst of that, but we believe and we have hope, all right? We have hope in the mercy of Yahweh Shemel Shai, all right? And that makes me think of a precept in the book of Psalms, right? And I'm not going to grab it, but it goes into how the Lord wants us to hope in his mercy because we need it. All right. We need mercy. All right. We need divine intervention. We need salvation. We don't got it. All right. All of our hope, all of our aspirations are, in the Lord, and his, protection, and that's why we're, doing the work. That's why we're making our bodies a living sacrifice. That's why we do everything it is that we do, all right, in hopes that we can be, counted worthy to escape, what's coming, all right. But again, we're all gonna have to suffer to an extent. Each brother has his own lot, but Yahweh Shai, his life, the example he set lets us know that we need to be preparing to suffer, So matter of fact, I'll go ahead and start off with that. This is a scripture that I pull, somewhat often, but can't be understated. This is First Peter 4:1. It says, "For as much then as Hamashiach hath suffered for us in the flesh," right? Suffering. It says, "Arm yourselves likewise with the same mind." All right. For he that hath suffered in the flesh hath ceased from sin, that he should no longer live the rest of his time in the flesh to the lust of men, but to the will of the Most High. All right. So again, that's a going into Yahweh Shai and the way that he walked when he was on the planet Earth. What he accomplished. All right. He suffered, and he basically endured on a level that has never been seen before. All right. And, will never be seen before. All right. This is the highest level. This is the highest level spirit, in all of creation. Yahweh Shai being the first created spirit. All right. And he put on a clinic, so to speak. All right. When it came to enduring. All right, having to endure temptation, having to endure, the cross. And when you go into that word suffer actually means to endure, right? So really, you know, what we're learning is we're learning how to endure, all right, which makes us strong. All right, this is that word suffer in the Edamon online. It says mid 13th century, allowed to occur or continue, permit, tolerate, fail to prevent or suppress, also to be made to undergo, endure, all right, to be made to undergo, endure, be subjected to pain, death, punishment, judgment, all right. And that's exactly when you read the scriptures, when you read about the Apostle Peter, when you read about the Apostle Paul, all right, James, Yahweh Shai, you know, this is what the ministry was about. The ministry wasn't all glitz and glamour and, all right, vainglory and, being praised. All right. That's not our lot. That's not our lot right now. All right. Our lot, our entire purpose is to endure, through, what Yahweh Hashem Yahushua has, you know, um, presented in front of us. All right. Let me get another precept real quick, and then I'm gonna hop into these scriptures, or the scriptures I had laid out. Let's get this in Matthew. This is Matthew chapter 24 and verse 13. It says, "But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved." Right? So it's all about enduring to the end. All right. Suffering until the end. And then those spirits that make it, that endure, that stand stiffly, those are the spirits that are going to be saved. All right. The elect of the nation of Israel. Right. So let me get the word endure real quick, just for edification's sake. It says endure. It says to remain. All right. That's the remnant. It says to remain, to tarry behind, to remain, to abide, to not recede or flee. Right. That reminds me of Second Ezra, the second chapter. Right. Standing stiffly, being unmovable. All right. It says to preserve under misfortunes and trials, to hold fast to one's faith in Hamashiach, to endure, bear bravely and calmly, right? Ill treatments, right? To have fortitude, right? And these are things that, are being developed, all right, in this truth, all right? But how do you endure, how do you develop, the necessary mindset, if you don't go through anything? That's why how about Shemal Shai has, his men go through particular things, all right? And each brother has his own, customized, trials, and things that he has to go through, according to his lot, but it's all about embracing that, embracing it and realizing that we're being made better. All right. We're being strengthened. Our spirits are being made, whole, which makes me think about another precept that had help. All right. This is Ecclesiastes chapter 7 and verse 3. It says, sorrow is better than laughter, for by the sadness of the countenance of the heart, so Slaki, it says, sorrow is better than laughter, for by the sadness of the countenance, the heart is made better. Right? So sorrow, sadness, okay, afflictions, suffering, those things are really making us better. They're strengthening our minds. All right. And actually, I want to get this into get this in the NLT as well. It says, Ecclesiastes 7:3, it says, sorrow is better than laughter, for sadness has a refining influence on us, right? Sadness has a refining influence on us, right? That's that fire. All right, that's that fire. The fire is what purifies us. All right, it's what makes us valuable. All right, when you find, you know, a piece of gold, you know, in the ground or in a cave or wherever it is that you find it. All right, that gold is more valuable after it's refined. All right, after it's melted down, polished. All right, and presented in a particular way. All right, that's when it's its most valuable. You know, so like the scriptures have said, many are called, right? Many are called, but few are chosen, right? Because that refining process, that heat, you know, the persecution, the straight gate, the position of difficulty that we're about to enter into is really going to determine, who the elect are. All right, who has really been applying, these scriptures, who has been trying to, you know, um, put on the mind, or the mind of Hamashiach, which is like we read in First Peter 4:1. All right, enduring suffering. All right, that was his mindset. That was Yahweh's mindset, because he understood that there was a greater purpose, there was a greater task at hand. All right, and that task was ultimately the salvation and redemption of the elect of the nation of Israel. All right, which will ultimately cause the entire nation to be saved, like the scriptures say. The 2/3, will die on this side. All right, but they'll be born again through the loins, all right, of the elect in the kingdom of heaven. All right, and all that prophecy being fulfilled, the kingdom being established, it could only be accomplished through suffering. All right, through the suffering that Yahweh endured himself. Matter of fact, let me get that. This is Isaiah the 53rd chapter, and this is a heavy chapter. I'm not going to get into all of it, but very heavy chapter. It's a short chapter, but it says so much. This is Isaiah 53, and I'll start at verse 10. It says, "Yet it pleased the Most High to bruise him," right? Talking about Yahweh Shai, all right? Talking about the things that he endured, being beaten, all right? Being tortured, essentially. It says, again, or yet it pleased the Most High to bruise him. He hath put him to grief. When thou shalt make his soul an offering for sin, he shall see his seed, he shall prolong his days, and the pleasure of the Lord shall prosper in his hand. Right? So again, let me read that one more time. It says, yet it pleased the Most High to bruise him. Right? Why? Why did it please the Most High to bruise him? Because ultimately, through Yahweh Shai doing what he did, submitting himself to the will of the Lord, it led to the elect being redeemed. It led to the salvation of the nation of Israel. You know, and it's going to lead to the kingdom being established. It says he hath put him to grief. Click on that word grief. All right, that word grief is hachalia, or chala. It says, this is that word grief. It says to become weak, to be or become sick, to become diseased. All right, and that's the state that we're in right now. That's the very state that we're in right now. All right. Our bodies are weak. All right. We're eating, all this decrepit food, the polluted air, the contaminated water. All right. We were raised and groomed, all right, in America, which has produced a mindset of weakness, that we're trying to fight and overcome. You know, this is the state that we're in right now. You know, we don't have any power in our hands as well. All right, we're subjected to our enemies. We don't have, a standing army. We don't have a carnal military. But we don't need one. You know, but the point is, that's the state we're in right now as well. But going back to Isaiah 53:10, it says, "He hath put him to grief." All right, when thou shalt make his soul an offering for sin, right? Because the sacrifice that Yahushua made, it was a spiritual sacrifice, right? His body was, physically, bruised and stricken, but it was really of a higher order. All right, it was a spiritual thing that was taking place. Matter of fact, let me see if I can find this precept real quick. I know it's in the book of Hebrews. I think this is it. This is Hebrews 9:14 in the NLT. It says, I'll start at verse 13. It says, "Under the old system, the blood of goats and bulls and ashes of a young cow could cleanse people's bodies from ceremonial impurity. Just think how more the blood of Hamashiach will purify our conscience from sinful deeds so that we can worship the living power or living God. For by the power of the eternal spirit, Hamashiach offered himself to God as a perfect sacrifice for sins." Right? So by the power of the eternal spirit, Yahweh Shai being the high priest in the heavens, all right, he offered up himself. So going back to Isaiah 53:10, it says, "He shall see his seed, he shall prolong his days, and the pleasure of the Lord shall prosper in his hand." Right? And the pleasure of the Lord is the will of the Lord. All right, the establishment of the kingdom of heaven and the everlasting kingdom, which is Yahweh Shai's kingdom. Right? So the pleasure, the will of the Heavenly Father is going to prosper, is going to flourish through Yahweh Shai. And that's what happened, when he made that sacrifice. Right. So that was pretty much all I want to get on that. Let me grab a couple more scriptures. This is Luke 9:23. This is Yahweh Shai speaking, and he said to them all, "If any man will come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross daily and follow me." Right? And that cross represents, the suffering, all right, and the tribulation that we're going to have to go through as, disciples, as followers of Yahweh Shai. We're going to have to go through similar things, similar situations. Right? The scriptures also say a servant is not greater than his master. Right? And again, let me read one more time. It says, "And he said to them all, if any man come after me, let him deny himself." Right? Because in order to embrace the suffering, in order to, in order to come into the truth, you have to deny yourself. You have to get rid of that ego, demon. You do have to, seek to understand your lot, understand your purpose in the ministry. All right. But that's really a selfless thing. All right. That's really has nothing to do with you. That has everything to do with the body. All right. But Yahushua is letting us know that the ego, the me spirit, the why me, the you know, that's got to go. That has to die. You know, this thing is about the brotherhood. You know, which is the motivation to, you know, better yourself. You know, so let me get a couple more. This is Second Corinthians, the sixth chapter, and I'll start at the third verse. It says, "Giving no offense in anything, that the ministry be not blamed, but in all things approving ourselves as ministers of God in much patience, afflictions, and necessities, and distresses, and stripes, and imprisonments, and tumults, and labors, and watchings, and fastings." All right, and those are all things that we're gonna have to endure in these times to come. All right. These are all things that we're going to have to overcome. We're going to have to go through. And there's no way around that. There's absolutely no way around it. And we're going to have to embrace it and we're going to have to attack it. So the whole this whole grace period that we're in right now, this grace that we're under right now is so that we can prepare ourselves, so that we can get ready. Like the scriptures say, gird up the loins of your mind, you know. So, actually, I think the point was made on that. So, with that, I'll give all praise to Yahweh Shem Yahshua Bashem Kakudash. Till next time, Shalom.